Hello, good evening. Coming up tonight on Business Live, government in talks with pharmaceutical firms and suppliers to settle NHIS debt through a bond issue. Also coming up tonight, wind energy company NEK Ghana to consider the West African market as it begins work on its 200-megawatt farm. Plus, government secures about 25,000 hectares of land for irrigation purposes. We've got details right after this break. Welcome back. In our summaries tonight, we'll tell you why the Institute for Energy Security is predicting consumers will be paying more for electricity in the coming years, and also British Airways retires entire 747 fleet after travel downturn. Details next. And we begin tonight with some news from the energy sector. NEK Ghana Limited will sell power from its wind farms to West African neighbors as it works on its 200-megawatt farm in 2022. The company in the last few years has sought to develop wind farms to produce cheap, clean and sustainable energy for the country. But since 2017, its 225-megawatt wind farm is yet to commence operation due to delays at the Energy Ministry. Now, officials of the company disclosed this on a media tour to allocate a site for the project in the Ningo Pram district. There's more in the following report.
NEC, with its partners Upwind International AG, are to develop and construct 5 wind farms with total capacity of 1,000 megawatt. Completion of the project will make Ghana the largest hub in West Africa for clean and low-price renewable energy. 225 megawatt Aitepa wind farm with investment volume around $450 million has received the necessary permits and licenses. However, government's prior commitment to independent power producers has placed moratorium on further renewable energy. NEC Ghana estimates about 600 persons would be engaged during the construction stage, aside a financial commitment in areas of operation. Project Management Officer at NEC Ghana, Jasmine Kapia, says they are now focusing on ECOWAS market over delays in Ghana.
Yeah, environmental impact assessments have been conducted. It's actually safe for even farmers to farm within a certain diameter. The land is still owned by the local stakeholders. We initiated a 30-year land lease agreement, so NEK does not own the land or the rights to the land. And also the local communities benefit in terms of employment opportunities, and about $0.5 million annually is set in a private fund for the agricultural and the development of the community as well. So it's safe and sustainable and clean. ECOWAS has a renewable energy target mix, and this is in line with ECOWAS's renewable energy mix. And also we are offering competitive prices, affordable prices. So this is in line with ECOWAS renewable energy targets, and also in the best interests of the stakeholders like the off-takers, as they will provide cheap and affordable and clean electricity.
Executive Director of Institute for Energy Security, Nana Amwesi VII, is unhappy over Ghana's attitude towards renewable energy.
All these documents, most of the time, gather dust. They don't end up delivering the results. What we call for is action, commitment from government and policymakers. You can look at the various manifestos. You can even go into the budget of the country. They mention renewables, yet we fail to take it up. One cannot understand what is the challenge. We don't want to speculate. It's important that government make do its words. It's also going to bring about jobs creation. We will have the opportunity to also have an experience with new technologies that come with this. Today, when you generate electricity with renewables, you can proceed further to use the same electricity to get fuel from water.
Meanwhile, Ningo Pram District Chief Executive Jonathan Doku says NEC Ghana has the approval to operate in the area.
As a district assembly, all the necessary permits that we're supposed to give, we have done our part. And we have been working closely with them, expecting that construction should begin. They made mention of some few challenges with, I think, the Ministry of Energy. We tried to intervene on, but I think that one is at that level. So as a district, and myself being the district chief executive, whatever we're supposed to do, we have done. All the construction licenses that the assembly is supposed to give out, I think we've done that. And we are only waiting for the companies, that is NEK and Upwind, to actually hit the ground and start the construction.
However, the Energy Ministry is yet to give the green light. Kwame Yanka's report for Joy Business.
Now, government has begun talks with the pharmaceutical industry and suppliers of the National Health Insurance Scheme to begin the process of clearing all its debts owed through a bond issue. The Pharmacy Council has begun pushing for this to help reduce the debt burden on their members as a result of the insurance scheme. Ebenezer Sabote's report.
Though government has been making efforts to clear the debt, some suppliers are yet to receive their full payment. Acting Managing Director of Intravenous Infusions, Mukhtar Sulihu, disclosed that the Pharmaceutical Association of Ghana is following up on plans by government to issue a bond to clear the debt. He's been explaining to shareholders.
But we hope that as government is taking steps to address this challenge, PMAC, that is the Pharmaceutical Manufacturers Association of Ghana, has actually engage government on how to address some of the funding challenges. And I think that a number of options have been looked into. And one of the main options that government is looking at now to plug the arrears that it owes to the facilities is to probably look at the option of using a bond to raise a bond, to fix the problem. So the association is pursuing that particular agenda. And this national health insurance problem is affecting almost every company in the pharmaceutical industry in Ghana.
Board chairman of the company, Isaac Osei, is confident that the move will help the company raise funds for its expansion works.
In a bond, it means that you are giving government paper which enables you to either discount and collect cash now from a financial institution or wait and then collect it at the end of the tenure of the bond. That's what it is all about. But we haven't actually seen the structure where the government is proposing. But whatever it is, when you have that paper, you can access cash, maybe at a discount. But the point is that we all know what the inflationary rate is now in the country. It's always better to get cash now than tomorrow. So if you have a financial instrument in the form of a bond, you can always trade it and get some cash to operate your business.
The board has approved some dividend payment for shareholders after ending the year with a 14.2% increase in revenue.
Now, government through the Ghana Irrigation Development Authority has secured about 25,000 hectares of land for irrigation purposes. Currently, the sector can boast of only 13,600 hectares of lands for irrigation schemes, a situation the Food and Agriculture Minister laments is not even up to 1% of cultivable lands in the entire country. Speaking to Joy Business, Chief Executive of the Ghana Irrigation Development Authority, Wilson Dakwa, described the development as a major intervention.
Going up and down and then training the people takes a lot of money, and that one is the bit that we need to improve on in order to be able to ensure that the facilities are put to proper use and they are maintained well. So we have achieved quite well. Totally, we have about 13,600 hectares put under irrigation. I will not say that all that area is being cropped now. That is the developed area, but due to challenges here and there, not all those areas are cropped, but you can see that in the rainy season, when rainfed is done, then almost all the area is cropped. It is in the dry season that they do irrigation and also supplementary irrigation. But because of few challenges, not all that area is cropped each time. But we have put around 13,600 hectares under irrigation, as the Honorable Minister mentioned earlier.
$3 billion, that is how much Ghana loses annually owing to infrastructure gap in the vegetable sector. To tackle this, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has handed over refrigerated vans to vegetable dealers under the Ghana Commercial Agriculture Project to boost production. Bismarck Awusa has more.
According to Dr. Owusu Akoto, the lack of modernized equipment coupled with poor infrastructural development for the Ghana Irrigation Development Authority has led to the sector's dwindling fortunes. Using Kenya as a case in point, the Greek minister told Joy Business vegetable production could be a good source of foreign exchange.
These are people who have, it's been their business all their lives to produce vegetables. But if you look at the history of the assistance of government, it's been virtually nothing. And here is an untapped potential that we feel that with little push, they'll be able to deliver. And hence, these initiatives that you are taking for the peri-urban sector.
On irrigation, at this structure.
The vans, which form part of packages under the Peri-Urban Vegetable Value Chain project and the GCAP, seeks to link vegetable farmers to markets as well as stabilize their prices. BB Veggies, AB Farms, HMR and G-Fresh companies are the beneficiaries of the reefer vans. The chief executive of AB Farms, Benjamin Agbesi, spoke on behalf of the beneficiaries.
Beautiful vans here are going to help the project a lot in terms of transporting the things from the farms to the warehouse and also distribute the vegetables to our retail markets. And this is not the only thing they provide for us. They also give us a cold storage in our warehouse. And also, they've expanded our warehouse in terms of safety measures and all this, everything is in place. On behalf of our company, I want to thank everybody here for the support they are giving to us.
The event featured the commissioning of a new Ghana Irrigation Development Authority office building situated at Cantonment, Accra. Chief Executive Officer of GIDA, Wilson Dankwa, said the office building would provide the needed working space to boost the sector's market offering.
As you probably might have heard during the Honorable Minister's speech, we used to be around the old passport office, the ministry's extension near the BEFs and DEFs area. But as all of you know, that place has been demarcated for the Marine Drive project. And so all the offices in that area are being relocated. And therefore, we had to relocate.
The new GIDA office was funded by the World Bank through the Japanese government. Bismarck Awuse's report for Joy Business.
Now, more investors are still struggling to meet the requirement for participating in the Bank of Ghana's Forex auction. The regulators turned down $1.2 million worth of bids from some investors and commercial banks. The bond auction results showed out of $71 million that was offered, the Bank of Ghana was willing to sell just $25 million to investors. The central bank sees this auction as one of the ways to control dollar support on the market, especially for firms that don't need the dollars now, but in future. Now, customers' association with banks is largely driven by loyalty and not customer service. That is the outcome of a survey conducted by consumer insights consulting firm Indogo. Earlier, I spoke to CEO Gordon Grant Biako on the outcome of the survey.
We have to bear in mind that our banking industry has actually gone through a bit of a turbulence. While the challenges are coming to an end, the customers' experiences and the customers' expectations are not yet over. So, though I am not that satisfied, I don't want to change because where I am, I think they are okay. I'm assured that I'll always get my funds as and when I'll get it. Why should I go and try someone else? Our expectations are that once the turbulence is fully over, then we expect that customers that are not that satisfied will be looking for options as to where they should go next. And it's the same reason why the willingness of recommend their main bank brand is so low, because look, I don't know what will happen next. Why should I be recommending my bank to somebody? If something should happen, would that person attack me or would he look for me? So I think there's some skepticism in the industry, which the players in the industry need to actually work on. We need to actually bring back the trust that bank brand have in our market.
Okay, because I was going to ask you what bank managers should do about this, seeing that, well, people are not really keen on banking with you because they're excited about the service deliveries, probably because, well, I don't want to change banks, I don't want to go through the hassle, I'm getting my money anyways. So
one of the things they should look at is that people will be willing to recommend you, they'll be satisfaction will be high, and they want to continue doing business with you if your service is differentiated. So where your service delivery is not that much different from the competition, then there is nothing extraordinary and there's no reason why I should change. So who is there, who is ensuring that their service is differentiated will be the winner in the market. So I'm looking for banks that are now ready to, first of all, pick up the voice of the customer on a regular basis, open their activities to ensuring that employees are trained on service delivery, and there's some reward to employees that are delivering top service to the customers. When that happens and the service culture improves, our expectation is that those who took those bold steps, who invest in delivering great service, are likely to win in the marketplace.
What does this say about competitiveness in the banking sector? Because if I should study this, if I'm a bank manager and I should study this, it should tell you that, well, I need to do something extra so that I can get people to ship from their banks, because it looks like, well, customers think the value is the same everywhere.
Absolutely, Daryl. And the point is that the bank products are generally the same. It's either a savings account, a current account. Yes, they may differentiate on pricing a bit, but the pricing differentiation may not be that great to actually make your brand stand out. So one of the things that will make your brand stand out in differentiation is service delivery. So the challenge for our bank managers and heads of units is to ensure that they keep the brand standardized on great service. Okay. And once those services are experienced by the customer, they should be winning in the marketplace. They should be better differentiated than their competition.
In other news tonight, Finance Minister Ken Ofori-Atta is highlighting job creation and saving businesses from collapsing as his biggest nightmare, saying they give him sleepless nights. Unemployment in the country has increased despite several programs instituted by government to deal with the situation. Now, some businesses are collapsing due to the current economic environment impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. Meanwhile, the minister tells Joy Business Government is committed to finding innovative ways to deal with this challenge.
And then also the issue of burden sharing. As a responsible society in which we all sort of participate in the recovery and an equitable distribution when there's things to do. So I think we as a country, seeing what we have been able to do these 6 months compared to our neighboring countries, is really to sit up and say, okay, how do we even build this resilience to be stronger? And I think we should do something about digitalizing the whole economy, such that access to data is much cheaper, that giving obviously an online system for education is now much clearer to us, and that's the infrastructure we must build. Look at our healthcare system and the president's bold move for Agenda 88 or 100 hospitals or so that we have to do to tackle some real intractable problems that we have. We don't have unemployment benefits in a system like that, so now it comes front and center as to what we do about that.
Is this something that you consider honorable?
Yeah, I think all of those things for a responsible society should have them. And maybe this is a time to make the bold move for things of that nature, so that, you know, everyone is taken care of. And an incidence of something like this, the issue of unemployment, etc., would have been catered for. So those become things that have to come into the media to a certain degree, but more importantly, the revitalization program for the next 3 years that we've been charged to deliver.
Well, finally tonight, handicraft and artifact dealers at the Bolgatanga craft village in the Upper East region are calling on government to give them serious consideration in the disbursement of the stimulus package meant to support local enterprises in the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic. According to them, the closure of borders has affected their businesses as foreign tourists who are their major customers are no longer able to come into the country. Correspondent Albert Sori has more from Bolgatanga.
Bolgatanga Craft Village is the business center for dealers in handicrafts and artifacts in the Upper East region. Locally made products such as baskets, leather bags, sandals, African fabrics, traditional beads, and musical instruments are always on display for tourists who are the major customers here. However, with the ban on foreign travels due to the coronavirus pandemic, the number of tourists coming to the craft village has drastically reduced as there are no tourists coming from outside the country at all. In a recent interaction with the Deputy Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, GEPA, when he paid a visit to the craft village, the Bolgatanga Basket Producers and Exporters Association appealed for government to consider them in the disbursement of the stimulus package meant to support local businesses. Coleman Atubila is secretary of the association.
The minimum I exported was 3 containers in a single year, 40-footer container, and that contains about 60,000 baskets, or various types of baskets put together. And so a minimum of 3 containers, sometimes 4 containers, or sometimes 3 containers. And then sometimes you have intermittent air shipments. So sometimes you can even export more than 4 containers. But you can imagine that the whole 6 months of the new year, there's no production. There's no one single shipment. That tells you how it has impacted negatively on our businesses. We have employed people to work. My company, for instance, have a payroll of about 14 people. All those 14 people will have to be paid for the period of time that I am not doing business. You think that is sustainable? It's not. So all these people, with time, if we are not able to sustain them, because we don't get any income, any inflow, we have to let them go to sit down. And that is also going to affect the incomes of their families and all that. The government initiated the stimulus package for businesses. Well, as an organization, we're told to tender our applications as a group. And so we did, expecting the government to respond to our needs.
The Deputy CEO of GEPA, Albert Kasim Diura, assured the craft dealers that his outfit was making efforts to get government support for them.
When the stimulus package was announced by the government, we were about the first to actually put our members together. We've put most of, if not all of our exporters together, and we've written one generic letter and we've taken it to NBSSI. They are actually in charge of the stimulus package. But we made them to understand that when they say the borders are closed and we are Ghana export, and then you've closed the borders, then definitely how are we going to export? And so I want to reassure you, and together we will discuss it further, that we are liaising between you people and NBSSI.
And that's Business Live tonight. Thanks for watching. My name is Darryl Kwao. Enjoy your weekend.